Welcome back. Police are investigating the death of an 89-year-old man that happened yesterday at Monagu Beach. Preliminary reports reveal that shortly before 4 p.m., police were alerted of a male on Monagu Beach who was swimming and had to be rescued from the water after experiencing difficulties breathing. As a result, the male was assisted to the hospital via a private vehicle before the police or the medical personnel arrived at Monagu. He was pronounced dead, though, at the hospital. Social media posts from purported family members suggest that the deceased is Mr. Kenneth Kelly. Opposition leader Michael Pintard is warning against what he calls government overreach in the proposed Junkanoo Authority bill. Pintard argues that the bill, which outlines a 15-member governing body appointed by the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, would give politicians far too much power over a cultural institution that belongs to the Bahamian people.
Junkanoos ought to be at the forefront of coordinating the development of the craft. The festival dimension of it, the rushing, whether it's on Bay Street or in a stadium, a multi-purpose festival stadium, that we would work with Junkanoos and other persons who are engaged in the business of festival to build. We believe that the government should not be heavy-handed in setting up yet another authority that gives power to the minister over the practitioners in the sector. That's the point. Not that there isn't a need for structure, not that there isn't a role for government, but the principal roles ought to be played by Junkanoo.
Pintard, who was speaking outside the House of Assembly, also raised concerns about political interference in internal Junkanoo group conflicts, saying these issues are being influenced for personal or partisan gain. He insists the sector needs less politics and more empowerment of the people who have carried Bahamian culture forward for generations, often with little to no support.
We believe that members from civil society, from sector organizations and others, that they should dominate these boards. And in many cases, we want to set it up in a way that a politician just can't come in willy-nilly and make the changes without coming back to Parliament and seeking to amend the provision that we put in place to guarantee that we have private sector, civil society, faith-based organizations, other stakeholders reflected on these boards. In the case of the creative arts, we need more of the creatives in charge of helping to push the industry. They know better than the policymaker, and what we do not need is more politics influencing every single thing.
Mr. Pintard said cultural leaders and Junkanoo groups have proven their resilience, continuing to build, create, and perform despite chronic underfunding. He says the government should work along with them, not above them. The Free National Movement also speaking out about conditions on Grand Key they say is causing the island's residents to suffer. In a written statement, the Free National Movement charges that the government has failed to meet the basic needs of Grand Key, including water, electricity, and phone services. They say that under the government's watch, the cost of living has exploded, which includes groceries increasing, rent, light bills increasing as well. And they say the light bills actually are going through the roof. Free National Movement says the people of Grand Key are hardworking, proud, and resilient, but suffer in silence, and they demand better. And finally, tributes continue following the death of outstanding journalist Nikki Kelly, who died on Saturday. As a columnist with the Tribune and later with the Punch, she was fearless in going after the truth, which kept the politicians of today on their toes. Before he began debate on the Amendment Act to permit biometric ID cards for the 2026 elections, Prime Minister Philip Davis paid tribute to the late journalist, whom he held in high regards.
In an age of partisanship and misinformation, Nikki Kelly remained a consistent voice of independent thought, principle, and sharp analysis. She had the rare courage to write what she believed, without favor and without fear. What I admired about her was her ability to approach a subject matter grounded in facts, always thoroughly researched, setting a standard by which all journalists should be measured. However, that standard is lacking in some individuals today. Madam Speaker, on behalf of my government, and I believe this entire chamber, I extend condolences to her daughter, Catherine, to her loved ones, and to her many admirers across the country. May her soul rest in peace.
Nikki Kelly died at the age of 93 years old. That'll do it for your JCN Evening News. Once again, I'm Jcn Saunders. Thank you so much for joining us.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.